waiting, and she's going to try to jump back on.
Okay.
Sounds like an issue across the city today.
My goodness, yeah. No one should feel bad. Everyone's getting it.
Well, it's 6:31. Perhaps we should start. Okay.
All right, 1 second here, Chair. I'm just going to get us going.
No problem.
All right. All right, I'm going to go ahead and push the magic button.
Okay.
All right, Chair, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you very much. So we're calling to order the Parks and Community Services Commission meeting for February 11, 2021. Let's see. Commissioner Griggs, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Certainly. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for one republic, which it stands. I just forgot the Pledge of Allegiance. You made me so nervous.
Sorry. Okay. One nation.
One nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that was, but you gotta warn me.
Sorry about that. I will in the future. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Griggs. Can we have roll call, please?
Honorary Commissioner Munn?
Here. Sorry, my internet is really unstable, so if I'm in and out, that's why.
No worries. You and everybody else tonight. So, Commissioner Griggs?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Cervante?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Margalotti? Vice Chair Einberger?
Here.
Thank you. And Chair Memro?
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. And Commissioner Margalotti couldn't join us tonight for cause. Can we have a motion to excuse Commissioner Margalotti?
Did you send a link?
Motion to excuse Commissioner Margalotti for today's meeting.
Okay.
Motion seconded.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All opposed? No one's opposed, so motion's carried. Okay. And we'll go ahead and open it up for public comment. I see Liz is on the phone, and I was going to ask her if there is any, if we've received any public comment by email or any other communication mode.
Chair, we don't have any by email, but I know that I have an email request to have access to public comment, so that's most likely what Liz is fielding a call for, so give us a second.
Gotcha.
Okay, sure. What's the best number? Is it 408? I have 930-1874. Okay, I will go ahead and call you with that portion of the meeting and have you speak. Sure. Yeah, 1 moment. I'll go ahead and have you here. 1 second.
Okay. So, Chair, Liz does have one public comment that she is going to be opening up the phone line to accept into the record right now, I think.
Yes. Okay, Chris, go ahead.
Hi, yeah, this is Chris James, American County resident. I was hoping to participate in the call today. I was excited to see there was on Zoom last time and there's no Zoom this time. If we could try and do that, I know more people will participate, I think, via Zoom rather than trying to schedule a phone call and follow along on YouTube. YouTube often crashes or misses parts of the meeting and is out of sync with what's broadcast on the channel and also on other Zoom things. So it's not, that would be my preferred method right now, is to Zoom participation in these meetings. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any further public comment?
We haven't received any other, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, seeing no public comments, we'll move on to commissioner comments. We'll start with Commissioner Moon. Any comments from you?
No, Chair.
Okay. Commissioner Griggs?
No comments. I'm writing down the Pledge of Allegiance, though.
Commissioner Cervente?
That's, Commissioner Griggs, that's your baptism. I went last Saturday. Went to the Park and Play Nature Arc. It was a really fun giveaway for the kids. I particularly love the idea and of having a pen pal with our seniors. And I thought that was great. What a way to bridge the gap. So kudos to Commissioner Einberger and Soroptimis, I think, is the folks that put together, along with the foundation, and fun activities. And Chair Mama was there with the music, so that was fun. Drive-through style, so it was fast and just a good way to connect to folks of all ages. And other than that, I attended the African American ACMS African American Coalition Town Hall meeting, and we're looking into move it so that our council members can attend and more people can attend, because it's happening on the same day that council meetings are happening. So we want to have more input and more folks attend. The African American Coalition is the first of its kind in the district, so we're laying the brick. And it's a long road, but we're hoping that we'll build more community with it. So that's about it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Commissioner Cervente. Vice Chair Einberger, any public comments?
Yeah, with the Park and Play, I was happy to see so many seniors come through. And unfortunately, Seropolis can't do anything face-to-face for now, so we couldn't be there, which was a bummer. But thank goodness for ACCPF, and they pulled it all off, so that was wonderful. Bingo is next Thursday, so I invite people to play that. Again, Commissioner Mamero plays music on the first Thursday of every month. Wish people would go on. It was great fun last time. So first Thursday at 7 is music. Third Thursday is bingo. And Commissioner Mamero, or Chair Mamero, I guess you'll talk about the crab feed, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I will. Thank you, Vice Chair Einberger. Yes. Public service announcement for everybody, especially those who are watching. Saturday, March 6th is the annual Kiwanis Crab Feed. It's a drive-through crab feed. It's a drive-through event very similar to the ACHS Choir Crab Feed. Tickets are $65. You can get online and purchase tickets from amcankiwanis.org, and there are also a bunch of silent auction items for bidding on, and It's all for a good cause. It's for it's for the kids, including scholarships and other ways to help kids, both nationally, both in the state and nationally, all around the world. Last comment is about the American Canyon Arts Foundation. The American Canyon Arts Foundation is making taking more action regarding the kind of long neglected mosaic, which is going to find its home at the Boys and Girls Club. So actively working on finishing it and installing it. It's been a multi-year long process, but we are getting there, and as things progress, I will report more. Okay. So,
excuse me, Chair.
Yes, Commissioner. Yes, Vice Chair.
Did you want to mention the CPRS presentation?
That is actually in Director's update.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, I'm equally excited about reporting on that as well. But we'll save that for Director Wright's update. Okay. Okay. Are there any commissioners that would like to change the order of the agenda or request discussion of a consent item? Nope. Okay, so hearing no comment about that, we'll move on to the consent calendar, which is consideration of the minutes from our last meeting, last PCS meeting of January 14th, 2021. Do we have a motion to either accept or amend those minutes from our last meeting?
Motion to accept the minutes from the meeting, the minutes from the meeting of January 14th, 2021.
Nice. I second it.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All opposed? Okay. No opposition. The motion carries. Okay. Next item for our meeting, a video presentation honoring Black History Month. So, turn it over to Director Wright.
You're on mute.
Thank you. I really should be turning it over to Commissioner Cervente, as she has had a significant hand in the creation of this video, and well, I'll just leave it there. If you can share a little bit of the backstory, and then we can play the video. If you don't have it queued up, I do, although I'm not entirely sure how to make the sound play through the video, so I'm going to have to play around with it a little bit. So, Commissioner Cervente?
Thank you, Director. I don't have it queued either, so I'm going to let you do the technical part, because I have to say that I'm probably going to mess it up if I do it. So I'll let you take the brunt of that. So thank you for giving this video a little bit of love. So the background on it is Dr. Dan Scudero. He was the ACMS principal from 2008 to 2020. He worked tirelessly over the years to build an inclusive community. And as a living legacy, he gave me the task to put this video together in honor of Black History Month 2021. I want to give a special thanks to Jeff Cervente, my husband, for helping me edit it, and also a big thanks to all the folks that participated. It was very hard task to do because of COVID. So it took it took me longer than what we had anticipated, but it definitely brings together our community, and it shows the diversity that we have in American Canyon and the folks that also represent us. So I hope you enjoy it, and also share it with your friends and family. I feel that we have to be the change for things that we want to see, and the representation that we want to have in our communities. So this is our way to show that. So thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys can see that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let me know if you hear sound. Can you hear it?
No sound.
No sound.
Right, and if you go to options, it'll say play computer audio, and that should be able to do it.
Under Zoom, right?
No, under your microphone, your mute button, there's a little arrow.
So say that again, what do I do?
So you should be able to go to audio settings, and then it should say play. It should say show in meeting option to turn on original sound, and that says music and professional audio down below underneath microphone.
Director?
Yes.
Another issue that you might have is that you're connected to your earpods. So that might mute the audio as well. I know that some folks at other Zoom meetings that were presenting videos, there was an issue with, they had the microphones or the earphones, connected to their laptops, and as soon as they took them off from the laptops.
Okay.
So, but I don't know if that will work, but it might help.
All right, let me try that.
Where it says video and usually it's ribbon.
Can you hear it now? Still no sound?
Yeah, still no sound on our end.
Yeah, versus for that one. Actually, to the arrow. There you go. Now go to audio settings, all the way down. And where it says microphone professional audio, you want to click on that. All the way down. Music and music and professional audio. Right there. It should work.
Now can you hear it?
Sorry, still no sound on our end.
Still nothing?
Sorry, still nothing.
Any suggestions here?
Let's see, audio settings. I think there is something you can do for the shared screen. Yeah, so Creighton, when you go to share screen, there's a button before you select what you're going to share, and it says share sound, and you'll click that.
Oh, there it is. Okay, give me 1 second. I knew I've seen that before. Okay, let's try that one last time.
In Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, he demands the same justice and equality for all Americans that is promised to all citizens in the Declaration of Independence. We who serve the American Canyon community believe in the same promise. Together we stand in unity and share his speech through a collaborative video reminding us all the living legacy we strive to make our truth each day. We hope you enjoy the American Canyon collection of voices. I say to you today, my friends, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed.
We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men and women are created equal.
I have a dream that one day former slaves and former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood.
I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice.
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their characters.
I have a dream. I have a dream that one day in Alabama, with his bishops' braces, with his governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification. One day, right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers.
I have a dream today.
I have a dream that one day every valley will be exalted, every hill and mountain be made low.
The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight.
And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope.
This is the hope I go back to the South with.
With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope.
With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood.
With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day.
This will be the day that all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country to thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing.
Land where my father died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring.
And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true.
Let freedom reign from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire.
Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York.
Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California.
But not only that.
Let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain, Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountain valley. Let freedom ring.
When we allow freedom to ring,
When we let it ring from every city and every hamlet,
from every state and every city,
We will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics,
Will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spirit.
free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last.
No.
Yay, good job.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Karina. Very well done. Very inspiring. Do the commissioners have any comments or questions for Commissioner Cervente? Nope.
Okay. Comment.
Oh, wonderful. Commissioner Griggs.
I think that was just awesome. That was a really wonderful presentation, bringing together so many people from our community with their personal thoughts and hopes and dreams. And I would love it if that were sent to all of us so that we could have it available and get it out there to more than just who might be on this meeting. I did see that it looked like it was posted on the city webpage, but I'd love to put it on my webpage for the month of, not my webpage, my Facebook page for the month of February. I think it's really powerful. Great job.
I also really enjoyed it. It was very powerful, and it was nice to see familiar faces like former teachers, my principal. So yeah, it was very empowering. Great job.
I second, or I guess third that. I saw it this morning on Facebook, and it was just, yeah, it's just kind of overtaken. It was wonderful.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Cervente. It looked to me that was that is available on YouTube. So I suppose search ACMS MLK official and then copy that link, and then that's how we can get on our Facebook page, which is definitely something to encourage. So thank you very much. So I can't imagine all the logistical stuff you had to go through to get that many people to work on the same video. So well done.
Chair, it was, yeah, the logistics were very hard. I almost gave up. Almost.
Very grateful that you did not, Commissioner Cervente. So thank you. So, and yes, welcome Black History Month. Our next item of business is C1, receiving a report on recreational programs and events for the fall and winter, and there are quite a few snapshots there, which we love. I'll turn it over to Director Wright.
And I'll just do am I live? I'll just do a quick overview, Chair, and then turn it over to our staff that will be providing the reports. So we have had despite the pandemic, we've had a fairly busy fall and early part of the winter. We did, I'd say, take some time off, if you will, in January after a very busy kind of later part of the fall. And we're kicking right back up. You'll hear a little later tonight in the report from Rec and Aquatics about some things we have coming up here the rest of the month of February and into March. So we're just keeping it going. Our whole goal here is to provide a bit of an outlet for the community in this kind of unusual time where there isn't opportunities for gathering and otherwise other opportunities. We've also lent our support as much as possible to other organizations doing great things in the community. So we're here for the community, and whether that's playing, giving something an opportunity to play, or supporting an organization doing something great. So without any further ado, I'll turn it over to Alana, who will start off with our report, and then we'll eventually transition over to Jody.
Awesome. So I do need to apologize. I do not have these in order. There are so many, and as you guys can see at the top of my screen, it's hard to tell which one's which. So I'm just going to go through from left to right. So I do apologize for them not necessarily being in order of the report. So this first one is our coastal cleanup. So for coastal cleanup day, we had to switch it up with the pandemic. Normally it's offered on one day. We were able to split it up into multiple days to kind of make that one big giant day into smaller chunks so that families can participate as a unit. They can check in their equipment and then they can go clean up a certain area. This helps limit kind of cross contamination between other people. So that worked out really well for us. So we had 46 volunteers that helped out over the 3 Saturdays, 242 pounds of trash and recyclables that were collected, and then the span of time that it was 92 hours, which was roughly translated into just over 2 miles that were covered throughout the various parks. Our next one goes into our December Magic of the Season. So one of the options or things that we had for Magic of the Season was our home decor list. So this year we had a huge spike in participation, which was really great. We had 34 homes enter to be on the list. So we were able to get a sponsorship from American Canyon Orthodontics. They put together these great goodie bags for anyone that signed up. So they had a $20 gift certificate to a local restaurant. They had a gingerbread house decorating kit, and then we also threw in some American Canyon swag, which was pretty cool for anyone that signed up to participate. We had, like I said, the 34 homes, and then we had quite the engagement on Facebook and whatnot. So it was really cool to see people getting out of their home and enjoying this option for Magic of the Season in a COVID-safe way. Okay, another another Magic of the Season event that we offered was our I Spy. So this is a scavenger hunt that we do, but we turned it into kind of a drive-in style. So we held the main part of the event in the parking lot, provided the rules to the families that signed up ahead of time, and then we sent them on their way to participate. And they have to solve riddles and find certain homes, and then they take pictures, they write it down, and then they bring it back to us for judging, and then we announce who won and who found the most. So we did 3 different nights for this. So we had 23 teams participate, which out of all the families, so it's 23 families, as 99 individuals that participated. So it was really cool to see that. And then again, we had a winning team each night. What you see here is one of the winning teams, and then our check-in booth with one of our staff members there. And then the winning teams received a fun gift basket from the American Canyon Pediatric Dentistry. And then they also received a magnifying glass because of I Spy. Our next Magic of the Season activity that we did that was new this year was Snowman Sightings. So we had snowmen, there's a picture of one there. We had snowmen varying in different sizes, shapes and sizes, and we had certain riddles that we put up on Facebook or our social media, and then people were able to go to that park on the snowman. I don't think you could see it here, but the bottom left corner, there's a QR code. And on the QR code, you entered your name, and then you got entered into a raffle where we gave out a snow globe and then kind of a melting snowman kit. So on the left of this snapshot, you see one of the riddles that we had. So how to play, find the snowman at this location. And this one was Shenandoah Park. And then we had some great engagement there. That kind of kicked off, in my opinion, a lot of the fun activities that we have at parks now, just to encourage people to get outside and walk and have a little more fun walking. So the other thing that we had for Magic of the Season, we did a virtual ugly sweater contest. So we had given out American Canyon Orthodontics donated a gift basket that had a toothbrush, and then they also did a $50 gift card. Scroll down. So we had this on Facebook, where we encouraged people to participate pretty much all month long, and then when we got back from winter break, we were able to award those prizes. So it looked like some people had a lot of fun with it. Okay, so then getting out of Magic of the Season, this is kind of just an update, which I will cover more in my report. But our virtual senior center classes, here are some of our seniors enjoying some of the classes that we've been offering. So we have our virtual class of Zoom, we have Forever Young Fitness, we have Stitcher Social, and then we have our new sign language class. So on average, we're averaging 7 participants for Forever Young and Yoga, 6 for the sign language and the Stitchers. I'm trying to zoom in. There we go. So again, this is because our senior center is not currently open, so this is still a way that we're able to offer those programs to our seniors. So speaking of yoga, we did offer a yoga with Jenna class. So this class averaged 9 enrollees per session. It started off as a hybrid model. So in November, we were both outdoors meeting, and then we did a virtual option as well. When we hit shelter in place in December, we switched that over to completely virtual. So this class, let's see, it was a great class. I actually ended up enrolling, and yeah, it was a great class. And they did 24 hours of the yoga session just from November to January, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, our which I'll talk about in our report, this was the last class in January that we had with this instructor. This instructor ended up getting a full-time job somewhere else, so we are on the hunt right now for a new yoga instructor to continue the yoga in American Canyon. Okay, some of the other big things that I've taken on, or I guess the department as a whole has taken on, is assisting with food, something new that we've been doing with this pandemic. So this kind of just puts it all on one sheet. We finally have a one flyer that is all American Canyon distributions, because I know it's very confusing and there's a lot of distributions that we offer. So I did have that there. Oh, I won't zoom. There we go. So I do have that flyer here. What we do is we meet bi-weekly with a food committee group. There's 28 members in that group. It's whoever can meet usually joins the call, and it's just us talking about what needs there are, how's it going on the distribution sites, again, if there's any needs, and how we can solve that. We've been able to overcome a lot of issues that have popped up here and there, so that group has been really great, really responsive, and really willing to help out any way they can. So it has been a pretty great group to keep on doing during the pandemic, because the food need in American Canyon is so great.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, it won't let me share the next one because the bar is in the way. Okay. So kind of jumping back in time, for October, we did a virtual Halloween costume contest, which was a lot of fun. We had this on social media, and we had 32 participants submit photos. And then we were able to get Redwood Credit Union and American Canyon Orthodontics to purchase gift cards from local restaurants to go back as the prizes for our winners. So these are some of our winners. We have Toby Stark, which was Iron Man, and then we had our Mr. Peanut, and then we just called him Voodoo Guy. It was such a cool costume. So he actually won, most creative. So that was a lot of fun. There we go. Okay. Magic of the season. We did, I don't know, I hope you guys all saw it, but there was a tree lighting video that we did this year. We weren't able to do our normal annual tree lighting, so instead we created a video. We had City Council read a original story for American Canyon. It was both kind of COVID related, but also just about how great our community is. And then trying to celebrate, really the magic of the season. So this video is available on our YouTube channel if you have not seen it. It is pretty cool. So it's a fun little story that gets read, and then we end up lighting the tree at the end of the video. So with that video, we had 106 likes and 36 loves between Facebook and Instagram, and quite a few views. So you can see to the right there, we had almost 6,000 views on Facebook and just over 3,000 views on YouTube. Okay. Commissioner Einberger touched on this, but Sir Optimus has been doing some really great bingo nights. So I did a snapshot here. This is offered every third Thursday of the month. They average, really I think this is kind of the low average, lowballing it, 23 players per night. They always do 5 games of bingo, so it'll vary in prizes because more times than not, we actually have some doubles or sometimes triples that win. So that's a lot of fun that Sir Optimus puts on. And then Our recreation coordinator helps out with that, Vincent Lin, just to help make sure if there's any tech issues or whatever that they may need. Okay, and then kind of the same, the music, the live music with Sir Optimus, so that's offered the first Thursday of the month. It averages 12 viewers per night. It's 60 minutes of pure music, and it's awesome. I've definitely sat in a couple of times, even while at work, just listening in. Commissioner Memorial is amazing at singing and entertaining everybody, so if you guys have not checked that out yet, please do. It is great. And that's been happening since September. So really great that Sir Optimus is able to offer that for our community. Okay, American Canyon Sports return to play. So we have been also assisting organizations with following all the state guidance and county guidance, and to get, youth sports to return to play. So we have worked with the American Canyon Youth Soccer Organization. So you guys have probably noticed before December they were offering, their league had started and they were practicing. That is because they were approved by our county health office. They went through this return to play protocol with us, where we really went through all of the county guidance and the state guidance to make sure that we're abiding by all of that, and they're implementing the right protocols so they can play during COVID. So right now we are going through the process with the American Canyon Little League. Their return to play was approved by the health office as well. So we are in kind of the final stages for them to start play, which is really exciting. I know it's needed right now with our community during COVID, especially getting the kids out there and back into sports. So that is something that we assist with. I think Creighton refers to Vincent and myself as the the state and county experts, just because they're constantly changing. So we're constantly on that website reading about what changes they've made and just letting everybody know. Okay, again, sorry about this, but jumping back into October, you guys all know this one. This was kind of the big event that we had. It was the Trick or Treat Street, which provided a safe option for Halloween. With COVID, we weren't able to do, your regular trick or treating. So we partnered with 11 different organizations to host a Trick or Treat Street, where it was various booths. They offered, candy or goodies, and cars were able to come through and still kind of get that trick or treating experience. It was a lot of fun to be out there. We served 348 cars, and each car ranged from 1 to 5 kids in the car. So it was a really great event. You kind of heard from everybody that was there, like, we really needed this. This was so great to see everyone. So it was a really great solution to, a horrible problem. So that one was a lot of fun. Okay, and then going even further, back in September, the Napa County Bike Coalition hosted a Bike Your Park Day, and that was with kind of everywhere. And then with us and the American Canyon Community Parks Foundation, they hosted it at the wetlands. So we had some cool giveaways. They had biking quick guides. They had tire patch kits. We offered some mosquito repellent bracelets. And then we also did a little bit of a course. Let's see if I can scroll in there. It was a chalked out course that some of the cyclists were able to go through and kind of have some fun with. So that was back in September. We had 4 families participate, and then we had one group of kind of teens or young adults that participated. I think I'm almost done. All right. Veterans Day. So for Veterans Day this year, we kind of switched it up from what we normally do. We actually did a partnership with the American Canyon Troop Support and with VFW and the Arts Foundation, and then Jammin' for Lambs were able to play music for us there. But this event, I guess the idea of the event really changed focus. Instead of what we normally do, we actually did a donation drive. So we asked people to come down and donate to deployed service members. We had 36 families or 36 cars donate donations that filled the bed of a truck. So that was pretty cool to see all the donations that American Canyon was willing to provide. So that ranged from, cars and holiday treats, hot chocolate, all that stuff that we're able to give out to them. And then VFW also had the Buddy Poppies that they were giving out. They also had some new flags if anyone needed it that has a flagpole at their house. So it was a really great event for us to do, to still honor our veterans, to get the community involved, and really celebrate Veterans Day. And then that is all for me, except for the one that Liz, I believe you have. If you could pull that up, I can share that really quick. Perfect. So this last one is we had a food drive in November. Because of COVID, we weren't able to, or not us, but the American Canyon Emergency Food Pantry, they normally do a food drive within the schools to be able to kind of replenish their pantry, and they weren't able to do that this year. So we had this kind of big problem. How do we get people to donate? So we ended up collaborating with a couple of groups to make this happen, and we did a drive-through food drive where people were able to donate all the donations, and then we had Boy Scouts that were able to sort through the donations and making sure they're not expired food and whatnot, and sort them to put them back on the truck to bring back to the AC Emergency Food Pantry. And then we also had ACHS students help out and volunteer with traffic and getting all of these donations from one site to the other. So this one we had 43 families donate, and this was over 1,000 pounds of food that was collected. So again, the community really came together to support the American Canyon Emergency Food Pantry, which, by the way, is the Kiwanis AC Food Pantry's donations that they do on the first and third Thursday of each month. So the community really just knows how to support one another, which is always great to see. And that is a lot of talking on my part, so I'm going to pass it over to Jody for his, unless, I don't know if I need to stop and then it's commission, or...
I think my preference is, because that was a lot of information, to take a pause here and allow for commissioner comments and questions. So we'll do just that. Commissioner comments and questions. Honorary Commissioner Moon?
Hi, thank you, Chair. I love how the community was able to come together, especially during these times where it's during a pandemic. And it's amazing to see how many events were able to be hosted, even though we're all apart. So yeah, it was really cool to see that.
Great. Thank you so much. Commissioner Griggs?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Mamrell. I think that was a wonderful presentation. Thank you, Alana. It seems like there are a lot of things that we were able to do as a city, and a lot of things that we were able to offer our community members, even given the restrictions of COVID. A lot of great drive-through events, virtual events, and I think that it's awesome that we were able to figure that out, because I think that it's important, even after we're able to come back together again, I think it's important to keep these virtual events going for people who can't go in person. And I noticed that there are some senior center classes happening. And I just did have one question. Have we ever done or attempted to do or thought about doing a virtual paint night and possibly partnering with Seroptimist? I know their paint nights in the past have been very popular. I attended one and had a great time in December of 2019. So I was just wondering if there was any information or we've ever thought about doing that. That was my question.
Yeah, for paint nights, that is something that we've definitely thought about. We were in conversation with the Arts Foundation to see if that was something that they would want to offer. I think the hang-up that we were experiencing was delivering the materials to people or having them, do it on their own. So there was some coordination that we were talking through there, but it is kind of still on the radar. In a sense, because I do too enjoy the paint nights. I kind of find them online and just participate. So it is something that we are talking about right now.
Great, thank you so much. I would be willing to help participate in that and coordination and delivery or whatever that means, if that's something that we decide to do. So I don't know if this is one I volunteer, but there you go.
Wonderful. Thank you, Commissioner Griggs. Commissioner Cervente.
Thank you, staff, for all the wonderful work that you've done, especially the fact that you have managed to do so many collaborations with all kinds of different organizations here in town. It really shows how much work you have put into this. Especially when you're even with less staff than what you usually would have. So, big round of applause to all of you. It's just amazing to see how outside the box you have, you have thought about every single activity. It's just it amazes me, and I'm grateful for it, and I know our community is so grateful for it too. I've heard a lot of really good feedback, so good job. The only one that I was kind of wanting to ask you about the only event is what can be done to increase attendance for that Bike Your Park Day? I noticed that it says, if I'm correct, only 4 families attended. So, is there anything that we can do different, or maybe another park? Are the families wetlands out?
Unfortunately this year it was, September was when we had all the fires. So a lot of people, it's kind of just when fires were out, or it was a good enough day to where the air quality worked. So I think that was a pretty big deterrent. Also, we share a social media account with the rest of the city. So any information that was going out at the time was really focused on either pandemic or the fires and really emergency information that had to go out. So I'm hoping, for the next time that we have, more outlets and we can get more participation. But unfortunately, just the weather in California around that time is hard. Yeah.
Yeah, understood. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Vice Chair Einberger.
Yeah, thank you. I just echo what everyone else says. I think it's amazing the number of events that we have. It's amazing. And like Commissioner Cervantes said, I too hear positive comments all the time. And it's great to hear. So great job, Alana and staff.
And the comments I have are, one, thank you for the snapshots. They are an easy way to absorb so much information, and I know a lot of work goes into that. Matter of fact, I think us as commissioners, we have no idea how much coordination it takes on behalf of all of you to do so much stuff. So honestly, if anything, I think we understate the impact we have on this community. So it's just, honestly, just very, very, it's amazing. So, you know, kind of, it gets me a little emotional. So, so just bottom of my heart, thank you, everyone. And that's, oh, okay. And so that, Alana, that was your piece. I know that there's an aquatics, oh, is there?
There is.
Oh, what's, okay, thank you, okay.
So we can turn over to Jody, our aquatic supervisor, and run through fall, winter aquatics programs.
Yeah, we're good. Everybody can see the screen. You can hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Well, you know, aquatics wasn't spared from some of the challenges to work through. You know, we came off of a really great summer, and the fall and winter had some unique challenges. One of them being, you know, our decision to put up the dome or not, and how that would work with our operations as well as with some of the county orders. And it would have changed us into an indoor facility, which then we just probably wouldn't have been able to operate and stay open. So we chose to try and continue what we could through the fall and into the winter. And, you know, no dome, no problem is what we put. The people who came were really, really thankful that we stayed open. We managed to serve, you know, 35 or 40 water fitness people through the months of November, December. They've held strong through January and February as well. And the downside to some of that was that we couldn't run swim lessons for the month of December or January, February, and we'll talk about when it's coming back. But, you know, I think we definitely made lemons with lemonade. You know, being forced to be outdoors and then have the weather and the smoke. You know, it was a daily up and down roller coaster trying to communicate with the public and the people in our programs. But I think surveying people through the fall, they've been nothing but appreciative of us being open and having an option and maintaining a decent quality and, you know, being there for the community. And so I think that having the dome off too also allows people to see us, which is important, to see people in the pool, to see people on the deck. I should have put on here too, one of the matrix was, you know, we also had some great pool rentals with the after school program with Ahi and with Sasso. They continued through the winter with pretty good demand. Their rosters were full, or whatever capacity and pool time I gave them, they took and filled. So that was really great. You know, and I would say that the water fitness people were some of my bigger concerns. The last thing I wanted to do was to send seniors cold and wet and unable to change out into the parking lot and having to get home like that. But they did really well, and they've you know, I told them if I did it, they needed to show up, and they definitely have held up their end of the deal by helping us stay open and stuff. So, you know, the picture that you see on the bottom left there is one of the smoke days where it looked much worse than it was, but it still is that, you know, it's the data says we can be open, but you look outside and it's like, this is kind of terrifying. I don't know if we should be open. But the pool was good, and it was just a unique picture I took one day. And then our COVID operations have stayed the same. We haven't wavered. The staff have stayed really diligent with the cleaning. You know, we haven't had any staff or participants in our programs report any cases. And so we're excited to move forward. We're excited to kind of get through this. I'm open to any questions if anybody has any feedback.
And maybe, Chair, before you do that, I just want to acknowledge Jody in he talked about a little bit, but just to go through, and when we were in the middle of the fires in September and October, it was, I would say, an hour-by-hour decision, but it was even less than that. It was minute by minute based on air quality and a whole bunch of different factors. So it really took a lot of time and energy on his part to manage the situation and just ensuring that we're making the right decision for our participants. And sometimes we made decisions that folks didn't like, but it was really for the betterment of not only them individually, but the program in total. And I think it really panned out for us in the end.
Great. Yes, thank you. I mean, we are living in strange times for sure.
The fires were unique because not only am I asking staff to come to work and challenge themselves to come to work during a pandemic, but then you're challenging them to do that, and then you have environmental factors or weather issues, and it was just a constant give and take of trying to remain open and consistent, but also set precedents for how we're going to handle this type of stuff, moving forward in and out of a pandemic as well.
Yes, well, thank you very much for the snapshot. I know you have a department report a little later in the agenda, but for now, regarding the snapshot, are there any commissioners that have any questions or comments?
Oh, come on, don't let me off easy.
I have a comment and a question.
Thank you, Commissioner Griggs.
So, Jody, my comment is kudos. Thank you so much for opening the pool back up as soon as you did. Thank you so much for all of the planning that you did to follow the protocols set in place by the Napa County Public Health Department and to follow all of those protocols and have people adhere to that. I'm the parent of a very active child, as I know many of our community members are, and when everything shut down and there were literally no extracurricular activities and no sports, I cannot tell you how excited and elated we were, my daughter was, our friends were, her friends were, that the pool was reopening and she could go and get some activity and some pool time and get her physical energy out. It was great. We signed up for everything we possibly could sign up for and never at once felt if she was at any risk going to the pool. Everyone was very good about following all the rules and regulations set in place. The staff was great. It was really wonderful. So thank you for all of your work. Thank you for opening the pool. Thank you for all of your diligence. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's my comment. And then my question, my question is, have you ever considered a junior lap swim program or class? My daughter swims with Ahi, and they get very proficient at a young age. And lap swim at our Philip West Aquatic Center through the city, you have to be 13. And so she's in that, gray area. She's 11. She's a very proficient swimmer. Ahi didn't operate year-round, and sometimes their classes are earlier than people can attend, especially when school is actually in person. It's hard to get there earlier in the day, and the lessons are definitely offered at more variable times of the day and the weekends, including the lap swim. But she couldn't sign up for the lap swim because she's not 13, but she's very safe in the water. So I was just wondering if that might be something that you would entertain in the future, like a 10 to 13 year, age range, or 9 to 12 or whatever, where they have to pass a proficiency test and then they can sign up for lap swim at a different time than the adults, obviously. But that would be my question.
Yeah, I think there's some user groups that are underserved. Proficient younger children are definitely one of them. We sort of have a gap where they don't quite fit younger or older, and so before COVID, if you would have asked me, I would have said something's got to give in order for that to happen. There's no pool time or we've got to prioritize something, or we just have to have a priority conversation of how we could make that work. Now it's going to be interesting to see as we get towards summer who comes back for what. I don't know how long it's going to take for parents to feel fully comfortable in our swim lesson program or being in group classes, or I thought it would have come back sooner in the fall, but we were also sliding numbers wise, so it was understandable. So I don't know. I think it'll be a pool time question. It'll be a priority question. I definitely see the need, to fill our lap swims during the fall. We had a ton of high school kids, and that 13, really pushing the 12 and 13-year-old age getting into the pool because they had nothing to do. They were done half day, so we had a lot of kids swimming in the pool, and it helped keep that sustainable. So I think we kind of have a blank slate that the old rules kind of don't matter. The new rules are yet to be determined on who comes back and what it looks like. So I'm definitely open to it. And I think as pool time becomes a limited commodity again in the future, we'll have to just keep that on the radar. So I appreciate that.
Thank you very much. And just to comment on your mention about sustainability, I know that the fee schedule increased just because operationally you need to pay your staff and keep the pool open, and you can't have as many kids in the pool, et cetera. And I just want to say from my personal perspective and things I heard from the community, that was it was fine. It was not a huge impact, and totally understandable why that needed to happen, and I think very reasonable. We need to keep our pool open and maintained, and it's not cheap. So just to comment on that. And now I'm done.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Griggs. Yes. Commissioner Cervente?
Thank you. Are you going in order, or are we just...
We're just throwing it out there. So
I just want to make sure, because I don't want to be out of, get in trouble. Jody, so you're doing a great job. I think that picture you posted is so powerful. It's like our new normal, right? The fires in September and October, and we have to be creative. And you've done such a great job doing so. I actually see every day, I work next door to you, and I see the folks coming in with their big jackets and doing the water aerobics. So I think that's great that, I feel like this is the little city that could. We have been able to, do almost everything. and again, it just goes back to the staff. You guys have gone above and beyond. So great work. Thank you.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you, Commissioner Cervente. Any further comments from the commissioners?
I have one.
That's great. Go for it.
Comment. As a swimmer, I swim for. I find it very. I'm very grateful for you and your staff for keeping the pool open, because I actually went to lap swim in the beginning of fall, a little bit of summer too, and it was. I was just very grateful that it was one of the few pools that was open, so I was able to swim. And I actually swim with VJO, the Vallejo Club team, and I get it. I get the struggle of looking at the smoke every minute, because that's how it was. And I was so grateful to our lifeguards who were able to go wake up early in the morning and just despite the smoke, or stay out there, and because of all the inconveniences. So I'm just very thankful that you guys pushed through.
Thank you. That means a lot to us. I'll share all the sentiments with the staff too, because they need to hear it too.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just say, just like everyone else, great job. And in terms of water aerobics, I talked to so many people who are so appreciative and just love the fact that they can go 2 or 3 times a week. So thank you for that.
It's been interesting too with the senior population specifically. We were worried about the tech piece and registering online, and a lot of communication coming through that kind of pipeline. But they respond to my emails much more so, and I send out communication pretty regularly to them. And so I think it's bridged a gap, this technology gap for all across all platforms and people. I think it helped me connect much better with the seniors too. And I think that's helped ease a lot of concerns.
And they appreciate it.
Great.
Well, Chair, I'm sorry, do you have some comments? I was going to say something.
Nope, I do not.
Sorry. We missed one snapshot that Alana had that I'm going to share, and Alana will talk through it, and then I have a comment before we move on to a next topic. So let me share that real quick.
Sorry, I miscount. There's 40 of them. So
there was a lot.
So now I think that should be shared, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, so in addition to us helping with food distributions, this kind of came up with the glass fire. The county had asked to see if we can help. There was 5,000 people that had to evacuate due to the 2020 glass fire, and 200 of those evacuees were staying in Solano County hotels, or most likely like Vallejo, and they were in need of some meals. So they had breakfast, lunch, and dinner meals, and we coordinated a location, so at the senior center, for them to be able to come pick up. They were looking for this from us because if not, they would have to leave their Solano County hotel and try to go up towards Napa to get breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which is very unrealistic, as you guys all know. So it was just a really great way for us to jump in and help out. The meals were created and then dropped off to us, and then we were the ones being able to distribute it to the families. So we ended up offering this for 4 days until the evacuees were actually able to go back home or whatever that ended up looking like. So that's it. It's pretty quick and easy.
Thank you for including that. That's important. That's significant. Wow.
Yes, Chair, on that note, just we're here to help the county, however that is, and the EOC and the county oftentimes will reach out to the city for lots of things. I mean, this is just one small piece that we helped with, but after the glass fire, the city also sent a couple of our public works crews up and helped with water issues in St. Helena and helping with tree trimming or cutting down trees that were overhanging roads unsafely. So it's just one small piece of a bigger operation that, it's not only us here in the city, but we're here to support the county as a whole. And then also you guys have acknowledged the staff's kind of can-do spirit, and that's, one of the big things that we really pride ourselves on. I say this every couple of meetings. We call our internal team, our core staff, the can-do crew, and it's just for this reason. We don't say no. We figure out a way to get stuff done and to be able to provide that service to the community. So that is that's something that we really pride ourselves on. So I appreciate your comments, and we'll make sure that we share it with the rest of the team that's not here tonight, that is still a big part of making the can-do crew work.
Absolutely. Your jobs have pivoted from, being providing parks and rec services to providing humanitarian services, and believe me, that is not lost on the community. So, little advance notice. I think after we receive your report on C2, the community garden, we'll take a break. So just a bit of advance notice because it's almost 8. So but turning over to item C2, receive an update on community garden. Director Wright?
Yes, Chair. Give me 1 second to get a little bit more organized here.
Also, Chair, so you know, we have 2 public comments on this matter.
On community garden?
Yes.
I'm not. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
So, Chair, I'm just taking this opportunity to provide the Commission an update, as this is an item we talked about at our last meeting. After the PCS meeting, it was realized that this topic, community garden, kind of broadly hadn't been brought to Council in some time, and likely many years. So it was an ideal opportunity to bring to Council and get some comment and feedback from them on the topics. And so with that in mind, Council had some specific feedback after quite a bit of discussion and talking through topics and hearing public comment from several of the gardeners and other folks in the community. I think kind of the big direction piece was for staff to create a committee and have them work on the next year, actually it'll probably be less than a year, and organizing a committee that would help to run the garden and eventually even transition to something along the lines of a nonprofit that would really take ownership and responsibility for the garden as a whole. And the city's role ends up being really as a real broad oversight on what's going on and supporting that organization eventually that is ultimately running the garden. As you'll recall, we had several topics that we talked about at commission meeting. Council talked through those and provided some broad direction and really wanting not to do anything too aggressive this year and take this next 6 to 9 months preparing for the next year's garden season to talk through the issues with this committee and the gardeners a little bit more in depth. So with that in mind, Council didn't want to make any changes to the fees. They didn't want to make any changes to any non-residents that currently had plots, but we didn't want any non-residents to be added to our garden waiting list. So that's something that we'll be implementing, which we've not had new non-residents requesting access for a couple of years, so that's not really a huge issue at this point. And then to talk to the gardeners who have multiple plots and see if we can get them to divest their interest this year and get more folks off the waiting list into the garden. So it wasn't a real hard, steadfast, do this, but rather have a conversation, ongoing dialogue to see if we can't get them, those folks to consider those that are waiting. So then the other items that were discussed or brought up include looking at some changes to the handbook, ensuring that there's a means for a scholarship opportunity so that those that may have a hardship in wanting to participate but yet maybe can't financially afford it, that there's an opportunity there so that a scholarship. One of the council members suggested a sliding scale or a fixed versus a variable cost, so those are all things that we'll be looking at. And then lastly, the topic of dogs in the garden came up again as an item for this group to talk through. So I just wanted to share that with the commission, that that's the direction we're heading. It's not a resolved issue at this point, but I'm very hopeful and optimistic that we'll be coming to resolution in the next several months and working with the gardeners and probably a smaller select group of the gardeners to resolve this issue.
Wonderful. Thank you, Director Wright. At this time, I think it's appropriate to go ahead and receive public comment for the record.
And I know Liz is reaching out to one gentleman who asked to have some comments on this topic.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, Chair, we have one public comment from someone that has phoned in. Chris James. Okay, Chris, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll apologize. I'm still listening to you on YouTube, so Creighton was still summarizing the whole thing on YouTube, so I may be talking over what he's already said. But I'll try and play catch up. So I do appreciate that the Commission and the Council have discussing this topic, spending quite a lot of time, 2 hours at City Council just last week. I'm a little disappointed on the differences in the discussions, though, between the PCS and City Council, and I think some of the inputs that was forwarded onto PCS and some of the discussions wasn't shared with City Council. I know everyone looks at this with a different perspective, but I think from my side, looking in, it's a bit of that game that kids play at telephone, where the message is passed on the line and when it gets to the end, it's different. From my side, I saw that staff, when a community got input, that input was given to you, you discussed it, and I think you pretty much grasped it. And the summary from that meeting was: one plot per household is preferred, be cautious about increasing the fees, and non-residents should pay more. A lot of that didn't end up in the final report that went to council, and so they went off and had a further discussion, missing a lot of the public comments that went to PCS. And then staff then, Jason and Creighton, interpreted their comments differently. What I'm seeing now on the agenda today is a set of things that really weren't discussed or weren't your guidance from the last meeting. So I'm a little disappointed in that, and I think because it's been passed on the chain with missing information at every step, a lack of communication at every step. Just be cautious of what we going forward now. I hear this thing about community and getting community involved. I think how you treated the community outreach until the last time, you totally failed on that. Or not you, but staff failed on that. And expecting them now to turn around and pick up the pieces and based on this recommendation, that was not discussed in the last meeting, and they weren't included in the last. A lot of people were missed out in the last meeting. So that's my kind of feedback looking in on this. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Mr. James. Liz, do we have another public comment?
Yes, Chair, we do.
Great.
So we received a written comment from Tammy Wong, and I will go ahead and read it into the record.
Great.
Hi, Commissioners. Regarding Agenda Item C2, Community Garden, as an American Canyon resident and plot holder at the Community Garden, I want to thank you for your thoughtful discussion about the Community Garden at last meeting and your discussion tonight. I am disappointed that Council did not take your input to restrict community gardens to one plot per household. I reiterate my support for, number 1, no dogs in the garden. Number 2, being as inclusive as possible in all future discussions about the community garden. Remembering not all gardeners are on email, and not all gardeners have English as their primary language. Diversity is one of our city's strengths, and any discussion and decisions will be more robust because of it. The community garden is a wonderful resource for the city and has much potential. Thanks, Tammy Wong.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, having heard public comments, are there any commissioner questions or comments? We'll start with Commissioner Moon, or Honorary Commissioner Moon.
No comment, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Griggs?
I do have a question. It does seem like the recommendation from council is highly conservative compared to our long involved discussion at our last meeting, and I'm just wondering why there is such a huge gap. It feels like we went nowhere.
So, Commissioner, I'd say that we actually went somewhere. There was a considerable concern about the quickness in which this decision was trying to be made, and I take responsibility for that. We tried to push this item through to get some direction and feedback in time in preparation for our renewal season that's coming up here in March. And council felt like we needed, just as the two public commenters are commenting on, needing to have more discussion, more feedback, more engagement by the gardeners in order to make a solid decision. Further, there were some of the garden folks who were interested in providing more feedback and taking a bit more ownership in the garden itself, and council wanted to give that an opportunity to work through in this next year and to see what if that could be a fruitful conversation. I frankly think it's a great idea. I love that as an option of having a committee and hopefully eventually an organization that would take that on.
Okay, thank you. So it sounds like because we're very close to the renewal date, we are hitting the pause button for this year and then going to come up with a more structured plan that involves community members and a subcommittee and perhaps moving to a nonprofit for 2022?
Yes, Commissioner Riggs, that's correct. That's the direction we're heading.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Commissioner Cervente?
Hi, thank you. I have to echo the concerns of our two public comment members of our community. I especially was kind of shocked that I felt that there was that we didn't get anywhere. But Director, you just explained a little bit of it. I really will encourage staff and council to review the policy on allowing dogs right away. That shouldn't be it should not be an issue. I mean, for what I've heard from the community and from members of the garden, there shouldn't be dogs allowed in there. So I encourage you to, not wait on that issue that much longer. The other thing is, I'm really concerned about the duplicates. I feel like, the folks that have 4 plots, and then having people on the waiting list, I just don't see that that's fair for residents waiting to get a plot. So, it's understandable that, yes, you might be on a restricted because of lack of communication, but if maybe we can put some more effort into these 2 issues, it will be appreciated by members of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cervente. Vice Chair Unberger?
Yes, thank you. I second what Commissioner Cervente said about the dog issue. I think that would be better dealt with sooner rather than later. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. So I have some comments and then a question following. So my comment is, I reflect on that we are an advisory. We're an advisory board to City Council. They do have the discretion to disregard anything we say. That said, we still have a lot of influence. I agree with Commissioner Griggs. We're hitting the pause button. There's a mechanism that's going to be in place, a garden committee to hash out in more detail these very issues. And I think it's wonderful that we have such a passionate garden community that is and they're getting more involved. So my questions, Commissioner Wright, logistically, is there a timeline for the formation of a garden committee?
Yes. So, Chair, we're going to be going through our renewal process right now. So, in the next 30 to 45 days, we want to get through that. Once we're done with it, we're actually drafting a letter in the next couple of weeks that we'll send out to our gardeners and request their interest, request those that are interested to let us know if they want to serve on that committee. And then we'll start meeting with that group in Probably won't be until the early part of April-ish, and then we'll have to see how much interest and involvement we get to see how quickly we can move it along. But I'm really hopeful that we can have this resolved by the middle part of the fall, October, November, so that we can give adequate notice for the gardeners for any changes that might be coming down the pipe for the next renewal season in February, March 2022.
Okay. So it sounds like this issue will be brought up to PCS around April, and I assume that at that time, during the formation of the garden committee, we'll be asking for volunteers from PCS to join in on the garden committee.
I think it might be best that we gather with the garden committee and see what kind of direction we can have with that group, and then I'm again optimistic and hopeful that we'll be able to get to some resolution relatively quickly, and we might be able to bring an action back to PCS as opposed to a subcommittee of PCS right at this moment.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, look forward to seeing this at a future PCS meeting. Let's see. It is 8:07, and I learned this. I just learned this. As a point of personal privilege, I'm going to call for a break, since we've been meeting for about an hour and a half so far. And let's see, it's 8:08 right now. And let's if everybody's agreeable to this, let's reconvene at 8:15. Okay? Okay.
Can everyone please turn off their cameras and mute themselves as they take the break? Thank you.
Okay, looks like everybody's back. Yep. Okay, it is 8:16. We are reconvening the Parks and Community Services Commission meeting of February 11, 2021. We are at next item of business is Department Report D1. Receive a status update on recent PCS subcommittees and other related committees.
And Chair, I will provide an overview and then have our staff go and give a little bit more detail. So we have a couple of PCS-oriented subcommittees that are active right now and one that is not. So we'll give updates on those. And then we have some others at the department staff that isn't necessarily a PCS committee, but I do feel like it's important for you to be aware of activities with those groups because they are very community-oriented and kind of loosely falls under the purview of PCS and the department broadly. So with that, if I can ask staff to provide an overview and kind of quick highlights on each of the topics, and we'll move along and have the commission the opportunity to ask any questions for anything that we might gloss over kind of quickly. So with that, I'll turn it over to Alana. She will be doing the first couple of committee reports. And I'll share it, Alana. I'll share the staff report.
Cool. Okay, so for the first, it's not really a PCS subcommittee, but it is a committee that we support, which is the AC Food Support. So this is the group I was telling you guys about in the snapshot, the one with the 28 members. So we meet bi-weekly to go over any struggles that are happening at distributions, if there's any needs, and then we kind of solve those answers together. And it has been a really great group that's been operating, I think actually since May. So it's been very interesting having that group come together and so being able to participate. Creighton, do you want me to go through all the objectives or?
No. Okay. Let's focus on the purpose and then some of the most recent outcomes.
Okay. So like I said, the purpose of the group is just to make sure that American Canyon, the need for food in American Canyon is being met, which this group has been amazing at fulfilling that need. And then making sure that if there's any resources or referral for other organizations or whatever needs to happen to make sure that the American Canyon needs are being met, are actually being met. So that's really the main purpose of that group. The partnerships are all listed there. We have 28 members total, and that varies between the various groups that you see there. And then the monthly food distribution sites. So where it says household served, that's how many are served for that day. So the first Friday usually always does 120 vehicles or families that come through. The Napa Valley Food Bank, they're offered the second and fourth. It's 240 per day that we're able to serve for that one, and then 200 for the Kiwanis Food Bank. That they get through 200 per day, and they offer that both the first and the third Thursday. On the third Thursday, the Napa Valley Food Bank, the USDA, they join the Kiwanis. So they are able to serve 200 in partnership with the food pantry. So yeah, that's the food. Oh, so sorry, the deliveries. So there is a partnership with Parents Can, COAD, to deliver to people that are have disabilities or don't have vehicles. So people that are in need of food that can't come out to the drive-through food distributions. So there is 20 homes that we serve, that we go out and we deliver people that are homebound. We deliver meals and groceries to them, and that happens on the first Friday and the third Thursday. Those are leftovers, or not leftovers, but we grab them from the food distribution, and then they get delivered to those homes.
Great, thank you, Alana. CEC?
So CEC, this is the Community Events Committee. So again, this isn't a subcommittee that is done with PCS, but it is a committee that we help kind of support. It's various organizations in town that offer events, and we come together to pretty much make sure we don't monopolize on one date for an event. With COVID and everything, the events have kind of turned into more drive-through than anything else. So that group does still come together, and we talk about what events we have coming up with virtual, drive-through oriented, and then if there's any issues or problems that come up that we're looking for a solution. One of them being, hey, we can't do events, so our solution was pretty much the PWAC parking lot, having that be, available for drive-throughs and having the organizations go through our reservation process to fill that out, so we have whatever they need, cones, delineators for them to be able to still offer an event even in COVID times. So that group meets monthly.
And the Senior Planning Subcommittee?
So Senior Planning Subcommittee, this is a PCS subcommittee. We have just met, let me read my my report here. So we just met actually internally with staff, but before that we kind of regrouped as a whole committee because with COVID, our senior center is closed, so we were making such great headway, and then we stopped. So then we brought this committee back to life. And bringing it back to life, we actually brought in a lot of members. So we were bringing in stakeholders that we haven't had before. So, people from Valley View, Las Casitas, Calabria Care that we partner with. We brought in a contracted instructor to sit in and provide feedback. So the feedback from that group has been that isolation is an issue. And even before the pandemic, isolation was an issue with seniors. So that's something that we are trying to tackle right now, as well as, just getting what we're offering out to seniors. So we're offering virtual programs. How do we outreach and have our programs be accessible to everybody? So that's something that the committee is working on right now. The last meeting, again, was internal to just staff, so we can determine kind of based on what the committee had said, where are we going to go forward with that? So our next steps is going through what possibilities do we have with outreach and kind of solving some of those smaller issues, and then working on those bigger ones of socialization and those issues.
And if I can turn over and have Jody do a quick overview on the fee philosophy.
Sure. Has the cohort or this process been talked about at all, Creighton?
I talked about it real briefly at the end of the last meeting at like 10:30, so as much as I might have said it, it might not have sunk in.
Okay, I will take a half step back here. So as we're looking at doing and finalizing our fee philosophy project and cost recovery project that we started in 2018 and 19, but then stopped in the pandemic, and as we're starting to regroup this idea and to try and finalize this, we were approached by a company that approached us a year or so back, and we just weren't in the position, or we felt like we were in a different direction. But what they offered was a chance to go through cost recovery and fee philosophy with us, and how they're structuring it now is in this idea of a cohort where multiple agencies across our area, including NAPA and a handful of others, are going to share this cost, but then they sort of walk you through the steps of deciding what kind of fee structures that you want to have and how you manage this type of progress currently and then in the future. And so we've agreed to go down this path with this company. 110% is the name of the company. Craig, can you zoom in a little bit, please? Sorry, my eyes are that bad, yes. And so you can see the other cities that are there involving us. We had our first kickoff meeting today where we just highlighted what data is going to need to be done. And we've got 5 phases to complete as staff across the 12-week program. So we're looking at the end of, mid-May being done and wrapping this up and having something to present. The first few phases are mostly going to be staff-led. We will have the opportunity for some stakeholder input as we start to decide some of the service categories and subsidy levels, kind of like we have in the past, where we engage the community, or at least people from this group, people from other departments. And so we're kind of in it. The next few weeks are going to just be a lot of kind of grunt work, trying to get them everything that they need to start processing this information. And it's in this packet if you want to see it any, more detailed. But again, here's the company, here's the kind of general philosophy, why we're doing it together as a cohort, who they are, and just kind of the general process. So I think it's exciting. The main reason I think Creighton and I really like this idea too was that we're going to be up against fee increases, probably for sure, across a lot of sectors of what we offer. And so this process is really going to validate that we're being as thorough and as thoughtful as we can before any of that happens or any of those kind of decisions are made. I don't know if we're opening this up to questions, or Creighton, if you have something else that you wanted to add, but we're excited. It's good that we've got some professionals helping us. We were, when they listed out the phases, pretty much the exact same phases that we went through as a group. And they were just going to make it scalable, and the data and detail that they're going to provide is going to help us map it out, I think, a little cleaner.
And so thank you, Jody, for that. I'll just give a brief overview of general plan, and then if there are any questions, we can take them then. So we don't have any meetings planned right now for the general plan working group, although I am working on kind of retooling a plan for us to move forward, and we're looking at a slightly different concept that will likely be a little bit more engaging than just a working group. Jen, our communications and outreach manager, has some kind of cool ideas that we're kind of talking through. And so we're looking at a meeting probably mid to end March or early April of kind of resurrecting this group and getting us back working on this. There is also the Education and Lifelong Learning Advisory Committee, also with the general plan. We don't have any committee members on here, but there are going to be some pieces of that will relate to us more on the community services side of the equation. So that will likely lag on the general plan. That group will lag a little bit behind the other 2 main general plan subcommittees, which is Parks and Rec and the West Side, actually it's not West Side Connector, circulation element will lead the general plan process, and Education and Lifelong Learning will lag a little bit. So that's it, Chair. There are several attachments to the staff report that I'll encourage you to take a look at on your own. Those are just some quick reports on our various committees and subcommittees of PCS.
Thank you very much. Quite a few committees, or subcommittees. Open it up for commissioner questions. Honorary Commissioner Moon.
Thank you, Chair. This is like a very, very small, minor detail in this whole thing. But looking from a high schooler's perspective who is really interested in food drives and distributing food, I noticed that you mentioned that for the disabled people or people who are not able to pick up their food, they have to, someone has to drive the food to them. Earlier this year, I signed up to drive, because I can drive, to deliver food to families who needed it, but I never really got contacted back. I know a lot of my friends, or a lot of clubs that I'm in, who are willing to do that for community service hours. So if there's a need for it, I don't think there is, or if there, like, that's always a nice suggestion for high schoolers, especially 11th and 12th graders who are finishing high school and need their hours and can drive. That's just my small suggestion.
Ron, I'll just respond to that just real quick. We do take volunteers to help with that. We actually have our volunteer spots filled right now, but it may be opening again in the future, and if so, we'll send you out a link, Commissioner Munn, so that you can sign up. Actually, you can sign up on our volunteer service. It's actually called Service, our volunteer platform, and you can identify your interest, and so that when an opportunity comes around, we're going to end up sending it out through there.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to piggyback on that just to let you guys know. So the delivery service is actually not driven by any volunteers. It's actually driven by the NVTA. They have a partnership co-ed. So it's actually a bus that we end up riding. So we load up, we ride it, and then we deliver that way. But it's still the same volunteer hours, but I do want to clarify that it's not anyone driving for that.
Great. Thank you very much for the clarification. Commissioner Griggs, any questions or any questions?
No questions. I just wanted to comment that I appreciate that we are doing the work on cost recovery and fee philosophy and looking at that. I think that is necessary, and I appreciate that the work is being done so we can be kept current with our fee schedule. As we just learned recently with the community garden, keeping it the same for 20 years doesn't work out so well. So I think that's really important. Is definitely good investment, and I appreciate the work being done there.
Great. Thank you very much. Commissioner Cervente, questions?
Question and comment. Great work with all the food distribution. I always get a lot of questions from parents all the time about when it's happening and where and what days, and so getting the flyer done, that was great. I know I've asked for it many times, and so finally having it, I'm like texting all these parents, here you go, so it was awesome, and I'm so glad that it was translated into Spanish. But one of the things my question is, how can a family be put on the list for deliveries? Because I've had that question asked to me many times. There are some families that are either have no car, or also they have medical issues that are pretty severe. So I've asked folks that are in charge of the distribution, and they just say, well, can they ask somebody to pick them up for them? And then that just becomes a really tough, hard thing to do, especially when they come to the line and they say, well, I'm picking up for so-and-so, and it gets to be really a tough thing for another family to ask food for someone else, and it just gets really hard. So how can these families be put on that delivery list?
Commissioner Cervente, there are two ways. One is through the county. So if it is a COVID-related issue, they should call the county's information line and identify their challenges in being able to get food, and the county can then refer them to us. The second option is through the group Lana mentioned. Parents Can is our referral agency for the deliveries. They would be the other option, especially for those that are homebound or disabled. Parents Can is the direct contact for us.
Thank you. I have both phone numbers. Thanks.
Wonderful, thank you. Vice Chair Einberger?
Yeah, thank you. I think the food distribution is great. I've been there passing things out on Thursday afternoons a few times, and families are so appreciative. It's great. So I applaud you for doing that and having it be so successful.
Great. Thank you very much. And I have no questions. So we'll move on to department report. D2, receive a report on aquatics programs.
Oh, I'm still sharing, aren't I? Okay.
That's okay. I can share mine, but you're already here, and it's fine.
Yeah. So, Joe, do you want to give a quick update?
Yeah. This, to be quite honest, the next 30 to 60 days for aquatics really is about some internal operations. We lost our aquatics coordinator. We've had two of our senior leaders within the department find full-time jobs and are moving on. And so trying to backfill, not only during the pandemic, but just with our own succession plans and trying to get staff in a position where they'll be successful. We have a really young staff, probably the youngest that we've had since I've been here. Probably 85 or 90% are people under 18, which does not bode well when you need people during the day and all of these things. So my goal is to really get us healthy internally. We had our coordinator recruitment begin, our lifeguard recruitment began. I have probably 8 lifeguards from the class that we ran during the pandemic that we're looking to start bringing on, which are really exciting. But again, every one of them is under 18. Our lifeguard coordinator position, we don't have a huge diversity of applicants, but I think we will have someone that will work well with me and will be a solid add to the department in this role. And then as I kind of look at trying to get that settled, we got a lot of staff development to do and staff trainings. I'd like to finish some surveys without the dome to have some really decent data moving forward for future decisions about whether we want an enclosure or not. And then looking towards trying to get as much of our Learn to Swim program back. We will have the same amount of offerings that we had probably in November come back in March, which is probably still at about a 25% capacity. I'm also working through what aquatics will look like as we move through tiers in a positive direction. I game planned as we were moving in a negative and we've kind of been in a holding pattern, but I think as we look towards trying to be potentially open fully for the summer, I need to have a plan on how we tier that out and what capacities look like, and the in-person registration and all of this kind of stuff is going to be important. So swim lessons come back in March, which will be great. It'll kind of be a chance to do a lot of training with these programs as we transition, all of these new people coming on. And just really starting to think what summer might hold. What do we want to keep? What do we need to get rid of? What do we hope to open back up? But I think for aquatics and for this part of the department, it's really about internally setting us up for success to get open fully again, get staffed, and be present for the people, because we all haven't seen each other much, so it's important that we all start spending time together as much as we can safely and try and get our hands on some practice of things. That's all I have. If anybody has any questions.
Oh, Chair, you're muted.
Thank you very much. Yes, let's go ahead and open it up for questions. Honorary Commissioner Moon.
Thank you, Chair. No comments or questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Griggs.
I have one question. I know that it is likely in large part due to the pandemic. But I'm just wondering, because I know prior to the pandemic, it was closed most of the time. The smaller pool, I guess, call it the baby pool, the very shallow pool, is that closed permanently? Is it going to be reopening as it was before? Is something new planned for that area? Just wondering if you have any idea.
I think all of the above. I mean, once we sort of get settled, and my main focus will be getting the main pool and operations running as much full capacity as we can. I'll definitely open it if it's not being used for something else for the summer. It's kind of a weird space, but we always end up having these young kids that love it. And so I think I'll definitely use it while we can. But it was closed for the pandemic. But we were beginning to gear up conversations of what that space could and should look like for the future. And it might not be a baby pool, but if we don't have the resources to change it into something else, then it's going to be a baby pool.
Okay, thank you. And speaking of resources, do you have a plan for who might run the snack shack, and if that would be open more regular hours than it has been in years past, and possibly bring in some revenue?
When I first came in, it was, this has been 3 years now, it seemed like a kind of a contentious topic. And then when it was kind of put out there, well, we don't want to run it or we can't run it, who else is going to do it? There was no takers. So we've now had probably 4 summers without it being operational or having some give and take out of it. We're looking at some vending machine options so that at least there's something out there. But it doesn't make any revenue. It's not worth paying your lifeguards who are certified at a much higher wage than minimum wage to be in there doing something that you just can't sell enough hot dogs to make it viable.
Right, I agree.
But something out of there, for sure. I was approached by a couple of community members and asked if they could sell something out of there. And we, they could come and serve lunch during open swims out of it and rent the space from us or whatever that might look like. And I was definitely open to that. But I think as they started to run the numbers, it just wasn't something that they could also take on. But I'm definitely open to it. We've talked about making into a staff lounge where the staff can go and really actually cool off on those really hot days. I'm open to whatever. So if that topic comes up again in a more serious fashion, then we can kind of debate what our options are or go through what it might look like.
Okay, yeah, I was almost thinking of the possibility of it being run by volunteers, like perhaps our ACHS students who need volunteer hours. So then there would actually be no staff cost to the city or the pool. And I don't know if it would, it's not going to make a lot of money, but it would be something if you weren't paying staff to run it. So I don't know, just a thought. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Cervente?
I just want to suggest that you sell goggles and maybe swim diapers if you open the snack shack as well. I don't know how many times I've been there with friends and they don't have the swim goggles or they got lost or whatever. So I think it will be a good revenue for you guys. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Cervente. Vice Chair Einberger?
No comment.
Okay. And no comment from me. Just, very, very good job working through, and keeping the pool as resource there for our community. Oops. Okay.
I'm going to say good night. Thank you, guys. If there's no other questions, nice to see everybody.
Yeah, good to see you too, Jody. Thank you.
Commissioners too.
We're moving on to Department Report D3. Receive a report on recent and upcoming recreation offerings.
And Chair, I'll turn over to Alana. We've, for the most part, talked through January, so we'll kind of skim through that, as well as even February. We'll focus on highlights and then focus attention on what's upcoming and what the plans are for March. So, great. Alana?
Yes, thank you, Director. Can you actually zoom in?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. So yeah, January is pretty much the same program-wise, like I mentioned, yoga, tennis, Sir Optimus, just helping assist them with live music and the bingo nights that they continue to offer. With the Senior Center and the virtual classes, you guys saw the snapshot, but the new class that joined us in January was our sign language that averages 6 participants, which is quite a few for our Senior Center. And for it to be a new class, so that's really interesting. And then we have a couple of partnered organizations that they promote or they have workshops or classes that we cross-promote that we include in our senior activity packet that gets mailed out monthly. So those groups are Innovative Health Solutions and Transforming Life. Okay, so for February, as you guys kind of mentioned at the beginning of the call, ACCPF did their Heart Your Parks campaign. So in that, the city hosts or is hosting still their Search and Solve. So our Search and Solve is at 4 different parks. It is a challenge where people can kind of decode clues to find out what the park has to say. So that's been pretty fun. We initially had it as a QR code, and then we added a paper version just in case anyone, was walking out at the parks and didn't have a cell phone, and then they later on can call my line to let me know what the park has to say. And I've had some really great conversations with some seniors or even kids that have participated, and it sounds like everyone's having a lot of fun with that. ACCPF just had their Park and Play, so we partner with them as well as Sir Optimus for this one that was just last Saturday from 10 to 12 at Veterans Park. So it was one for both seniors, and then we had bags for youth, and then in that Commissioner Cervente mentioned that we were doing a pen pal for seniors and kids, so that just launched in this last Park and Play. So that should be fun to see kind of what comes out of that. In February, we are doing a Teens Tell. So the Teens Tell is a virtual art showcase. So we have quite a few prompts to teens to get them to kind of express however they're dealing with the pandemic or the issues that they're dealing with, just to kind of talk about it, because that is something that would help during this time. So we're accepting any forms of art, if it's a poem, if it's actual, a painting or something like that. So the link is on our website, and I have flyers, so if you guys are interested or know anyone, I can definitely send that over. So that will be, it's all February, all month long, and then once we accept them all, we'll put it on display, and then we're also giving the kids or teens a gift, some kind of cool prizes just for it by submitting to kind of entice them. We have some new classes. We have some new classes that started with us, a new partnership, a new instructor. So it's Cooking Around the World. So we are offering some new cooking classes for the youth. For February, we have our Valentine's Day dessert lesson that's happening. It's $25 for the participants, and it's via Zoom. So they learn how to make, it'll be chocolate covered strawberries, cookies, and then red velvet cupcakes. As the months go on, we're actually going to be doing more classes with the Cooking Around the World to get our kids to cook for you, So I'm really excited about that one. The organization, they have various recipes and chefs that are experienced with worldwide dishes, so it's pretty cool just talking to them, and we're really hoping to get more kids participating in that. And then tomorrow is our We Heart Everyone drive-through. So This month is We Heart Everyone. It's our theme. You guys probably own or have seen the We Heart Everyone signs in AmCam. We have created that sign into a window cling. So it's a window cling that you can put kind of actually inside a window in your car, home, or you can kind of put it on things. And then we combined that with Black History Month and Lunar New Year to kind of make a diversity drive-through. So we have that tomorrow from 4 to 6. And commissioners, if you are willing or wanting, I do need some help. So if you guys are willing to be out there or wanting to help volunteer, I would love your help. Again, we're kind of down to our bare bones in staff, so it'd be great if you guys were available. The other organizations that will be out there is the AC Arts Foundation. They're going to be doing some Valentine's Day cards, card kits that people can, make a card and then give it to a neighbor or somebody else. So, and then we'll also have Chair Memorial out there playing some live music as people drive through. Okay, so that's February. Going into March. So we are going to be doing, March is March into Fitness. So we have what we're calling a Lucky Fun Fit Trail. So this Lucky Fun Fit Trail is going to be out at 2 parks. So it'll be Saturday, it'll be March 13th at Shenandoah. We're going to have kind of a trail that's designated by color in kind of rainbow format. And then it's going to lead to a leprechaun that has some really cool goodies that we're going to be giving away to anyone that shows up. And then the same thing is going to be happening on actual St. Patrick's Day. Right now it's planned for wetlands. Both days are going to be from 4 to 6. It is free for anyone to participate. The goodies so far, we have chocolate coins, we have rainbow colored putty. I think there's a couple other really cool gifts in there. So I'm really excited about that, and the fact that we'll actually have a leprechaun. So I'm really excited about that, getting people out. It's really just to get kids out at the parks and experience something other than, we say go walking. It's just to spice up the walk, really. And then with March into Fitness, we are doing a fitness challenge. So it's a social campaign. We are calling AC Get Fit. So every Wednesday and Friday, we'll be posting kind of a fitness challenge for anyone to participate in. On Wednesdays, it'll be Walk It Wednesdays, and then Fridays will be Fitness Fridays. It'll be more kind of exercise related. So we're asking people to participate and share their photos, and then we'll kind of randomly award participants with, a yoga mat or kind of whatever else we have to give out to them. And then for our teens, we are working with the Napa County Bike Coalition to do a teen bike ride finally. This was something that I had mentioned to the commission before, but with shelter in place, we weren't able to do it. Now that we're out of shelter in place, this is something that we are able to offer. So we were looking at March. And it's a teen bike ride where we're having, teams come down, and then the Napa County Bike Coalition is going to be leading some safety tips and then kind of offer their bike ride. So I'm really excited about that. I think that's going to be really for some teens just to get out and enjoy biking. And then new classes, like I said, the Cooking Around the World, they're offering kind of new classes every month. For March, they're doing a 5-session series on street foods. So street foods kind of around the world, so kids can participate in that. And then we have a St. Patrick's Day kind of meal cuisine, and it's called Kiss Me, I'm Irish. And then we actually have a new addition that they're going to be doing for spring break. They're going to be doing a spring break breakfast series. So it's 3 breakfast meals that you get to cook each day that you participate in. It's 5 days. And then we have All City Dance joining us again. Again, with shelter in place, they weren't able to, but now that we're out of that, All City Dance is joining us. And then they have, let's see, All City Dance is hip hop, ballet, and then the jazzy funk that they were offering before. I think that's it.
Great. Thank you. It's a lot of activities for the next couple of months. That's wonderful. So let's open it up for Commissioner questions and comments for Alana. Commissioner Moon?
Thank you, Chair. I love all the activities, but I really like I think it's the Teens Tell. I'm actually the community chair for the Active Minds Club at the high school, and it's basically focusing on mental health. So I will definitely promote it in my club, the upcoming meeting. I think they would love that to express themselves. So yeah, I really like it.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Griggs?
Thank you, Chairman Merrill. I have a question. Alana, you said you need help tomorrow. Where are you going to be?
Yes, thank you. Sorry, we are going to be at the aquatics parking lot, so it's 100 Benton Way, kind of where all the drive-thrus are. We'll be right next to the exit of the pool. And then if you guys are willing to come down, the 4 to 6 time is really when I need you. I need help passing things out. We have quite a few goodies and not enough hands, so it would be great if you guys can help with that.
Am I going to get that fancy name badge when I come tomorrow, Liz?
I can steal it from Liz.
So I can look somewhat official?
I will leave it on my desk.
All right, I will gladly come help you tomorrow. That's no problem at all.
Great. That's great.
And awesome job on all the classes. I'm very excited about Cooking Around the World, especially the street food series. So my daughter's taking culinary right now with her middle school class, and it only has 4 classes left. And I know she's like, no, because she loves her culinary class. So I think that's just a really great thing. It's like life skills, and it teaches them independence and gets them in the kitchen and gets the parents involved. And so that's really great. I appreciate that. And I'm assuming it's virtual, so they log on to like a Zoom and then follow along?
Yep. So they sign up and then they log in to Zoom. So before the class, they'll let you know what materials you need to have ready for the class.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. And we'll see you tomorrow. Commissioner Cervente?
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun coming up. Thank you for doing all this prep. I have been actively sharing the Teens Tale at ACMS, and have been sharing it through all of our social media outlets and with the teachers, especially our ELA and art teachers. So I'm hoping that you're getting some entries. I actually had a question. The AC Get Fit Fitness Challenge in March. I think it's great because in January everybody's like, oh, new resolution, and then by the end of January that resolution goes, we kind of forget. So it's a great reminder. In March, let's continue with the resolutions. But I was wondering, is this fitness challenge going to be just for outdoors, or can it be indoors as well? And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, so the fitness challenge post, it can be indoors. The walking Wednesdays, it's really a time frame that we want you to walk. So it starts off, 15 minutes and then 30 minutes, an hour, like that. And then the fitness Fridays is all exercises you can do at home. You do not need equipment. It's really just all body workouts that we're going to be doing.
Cool. Thank you. Commissioner Cervente, any further comments or questions?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Vice Chair Einberger?
No, great offerings, and I love the themes. Excuse me. I think it's nice to know about the themes, and maybe even some other groups could kind of piggyback on those. Like I think Seroptimus tried to do that with the bags at the Park and Play, and we'll look at March what we might be able to do. I'm I'm going to be out of town tomorrow, so I'm unable to help, but I would love to help with some other things. I'm usually not out of town. I'm usually around. So be sure to ask us in the future whenever we can help. And that's all.
Great. Thank you very much, Vice Chair. Yes, similar to Commissioner Cervente and Commissioner Moon, I've also been sharing the Teens Tell site with the Filipino wellness group that I coordinate. I think it's wonderful that the teens who are suffering from very bad mental health issues are given an opportunity to express themselves. All of this helps. I also appreciate the cooking around the world as being a reflection of our diversity. That sounds great, just learning to cook dishes from other countries. So, gosh, that's very, very cool. So thank you so much for all of your efforts in giving us stuff to do, giving our community things to do. Let's see. Okay, so we are moving on to Department Report D4, Receiver Report on Parks and Recreation Department Customer Service.
Chair, I'll turn it over to Liz, who will give a brief overview of customer service stuff we have going on.
Thank you. I'll be providing a report on the customer service for the last winter season. So we're gearing up right now for community garden renewals. So we provided advice to City Council. They made some comments about how we should proceed that we discussed earlier. We're working on also updating the community garden handbook with the different suggestions we've received from PCS and also City Council. Most of those changes will be implemented the next garden season, but we will be providing updates on our communication and notices and whatnot. So we are in the works of making some updates for this upcoming season and then also for the next garden season. And then we anticipate renewals happening beginning the late February to early March. So we will be sending out a letter probably within the next week to update garden plot holders about the upcoming renewal process, as we will be doing it virtually this season. In years past, we've had gardeners come in, but obviously with the pandemic, that's not going to be an option this year. Next, scholarships. So we, for the winter quarter, which opened in November, we had 0 people participate in our scholarship program that we partner with ACCPF. So the next opportunity will be for the spring, which will be for our March programming, which will be opening on February 24th is the next opportunity. So if you know any families that are facing a financial hardship, please direct them to the city website where they can apply for a scholarship up to $100. And that is good for children and also seniors. If they need additional information, it is available on the website, or they can also call the office and speak with admin staff. Facility rentals, we are still not accepting reservations at this time due to COVID-19 guidelines. We do have an ongoing wait list, so if there is a date in mind, you can get on that wait list by calling the office, or you can also go through the city website and put in a reservation wait list request. We are, same thing with our parks, we're not currently accepting reservations, but you can get on the wait list for that. We do have some of our sports groups that have been completing their return to plays. So they've been working with Alana on submitting those, and we are working with them to have everything in place so that when we do get the green light from Napa County, we will be able to bring those groups on pretty quickly. So that's exciting. We are moving in that direction. Lastly, our program registrations. So for the winter guide season, which ran from December to January, we had 380 people participate in our programs, which is really great considering that we are still under the pandemic. And that our next opportunity for March programming, because we are doing a monthly registrations right now, which is different from what we have in the past, and that's just because of the pandemic. So our next enrollment period for March will open on February 24th for our March classes.
Great. Okay, thank you very much, Liz. Commissioner questions, starting with Honorary Commissioner Moon.
Thank you, Chair. No comments or questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Griggs.
Thank you, Chair. No comments or questions. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Cervente.
No comments.
Okay. Vice Chair Einberger.
No, thank you.
Great, thank you. One question. There are plans to bring back the activity guide, in the old paper form?
Chair, we're talking through that at this point. We're not in the paper form for sure. It'll be a digital form if anything.
Okay.
What we're talking through is whether we keep in this monthly format and digital newsletter, or do we transition into a digital magazine style that is more seasonal oriented. We're not quite at a point where, generally speaking, we feel like our residents can't plan much more than, even us, I'll have to say, we don't plan much more than 45 days in advance. We start looking at a horizon of 60 to 90 days thinking about activities, but we don't get really serious about programming and planning until we're about 45 days. So for us to be thinking about a normal activity guide, which is seasonal, for the activity guide, we're planning 6 to 8 months in advance, and we just can't do that right now.
Okay, thank you very much.
It is a conversation we've had, though.
Gotcha. Okay. Next item under the department reports, item D5, receive a brief status update on park-related projects and the volunteer program.
Chair, I'll turn it over to Siobhan, which will give a brief update on her project she's working on, but there's something really exciting towards the end that she'll share.
Great.
Thank you, Creighton. I'd like to share my screen.
Oh, yep, here.
Lovely. Okay, so I'm going to start with some of our previous snapshots from earlier this year before we head into what's existing now and what we're working on in the future. So I would just like to highlight one of our recent Eagle Scout projects that we've completed. Her name is Vanessa Chen, and she completed her Eagle Scout project right out at Newell Open Space. It was kind of split up into two phases. The first phase that you see here was on October 24th. We went out to Newell Open Space to replace trail signage that had burned in the 2019 fire. You can see her holding the burnt post and replaced it with a new one. And she also added in additional trail markers to provide better trail experiences with wayfinding and navigation. And then she also replaced, as you can see here on the bottom right, some of the orienteering posts that burned in the fire as well. And that was a previous Eagle Scout project as well. So he also joined us and tried to repair of this project as an effort as part of Vanessa's project. So we had a total of about 15 of her troops and troop leaders out there, so quite a bit of volunteer hours. And then we recently finished, just last week, the second part of her project, which was she installed trail embossers that had no leave no trace behind principles on there. So it's sort of a scavenger hunt that you pick up a flyer from the kiosk when you enter into Newell Open Space, and you go along her new trail signage and you stamp with the embossers these principles onto your onto your pamphlet. So it's really exciting. If you haven't gone out to Newell to see her new signs and her new scavenger hunt, I strongly recommend going out there and having fun with it. So that's one snapshot I wanted to show you guys. We have another snapshot, which was our 2020 REI Ridge Trail Day. This is a project that we do on an annual basis, and this one took place on November 7th. We were out at Newell Open Space as well, and we were also representing the REI Ridge Trail Coalition. It was a great volunteer project effort. We had 6 volunteers come out and work for a couple hours on this rolling dip feature. So rolling dip feature is just a really great natural method to providing better drainage on a trail and reducing erosion rates by creating this sort of a bump type of feature that stops water from just pooling on a trail and allows it to be funneled into a creek. So we had volunteers work on this, and it was a great project, and we're really proud of our volunteers. So we hope to have more of these type of trail efforts out for our volunteer program with a monthly trail crew in the future. So we're working on that as well. So I'm going to jump back into our report, and we are going to focus on River to Ridge Conservation Program next. We have an upcoming project with the Napa County Resource Conservation District to do a tree planting with acorns out at Newell Open Space. Unfortunately, this February 20th project was recently postponed. We are going to be announcing a new date due to our COVID restrictions that we have to accommodate. So it is no longer taking place on this day. It's most likely going to be late March, so just a month later. We have yet to finalize, but that is our hope that we'll be able to have it then. We have already our 8 volunteers signed up through our platform called Service, which is our volunteer recruitment tool online that you can register on the website. So that project, we're really excited about it, but we've got to wait until the time is right. And our next project is also another partnership initiative with the American Canyon Community and Parks Foundation. This is going to be a landscaping project out at Wetlands Edge on March 6th. We're hoping that this will definitely be able to take place, gives us enough time in March to do this. This is going to be a native species planting and landscaping effort around the concrete pad where the exercise equipment has been installed. So we are going to have irrigation installed as well to make sure that these plants stay healthy and fed. So again, this is also a volunteer capacity of 8, all of which have already been recruited. And I believe for both of these projects, we do actually have a wait list. So people are wanting to volunteer. So we're hoping to provide more volunteer opportunities on a monthly or even a little bit less than that, maybe semi-monthly type of schedule. So if you guys are interested in the future to volunteer, you can go ahead and register on our Service website. Moving on to Prop 68 grant funding and the short-term plan for that funding. So our city's allocation is $177,952. This money would be used towards replacing 3 playgrounds out at the city on Northampton, Community Park 1, and Little League playgrounds. So we have been working on that, and our next step is, we actually did have a resolution approved by City Council back in January, but our next step after that is to throw together the application package, which we've actually had a deadline extension to be pushed back, I believe, to December. So we're going to be working on that in the fall to have that submitted by December 2021. And we also will have a completion date, so that is still to be announced. But moving on to grazing management plan we have here. So I've been working with Jasmine. She is an employee of the Solano Land Trust, and she has been developing a joint grazing management plan with us for Lynch Canyon and Newell Open Space Preserve. So we've been in frequent contact with our current grazing license holders, the Azevedos. We've been working with them to discuss our grazing operations and the future for that and putting together our license. So we're working with them on gaining their feedback so that we can get into an agreement and move forward in the coming years. Aside from that, I've also been meeting with various sheep grazer operations and seeing how we can feasibly implement that to Newell Open Space. I'll also be researching grant opportunities in order to fund that initiative. And lastly, I've been working with Napa Land Trust as well to have the approval of installing new pedestrian gates creating that carbon farming plan potential with the Napa County Resource Conservation District, and incorporating the possibility of that sheep grazing operation in the future, sheep and goat. So all of which have been approved and comply with our conservation easement that we hold with Napa Land Trust. Okay, and just to add to that, we are going to be starting the pedestrian gate installation for 3 of them and 1 vehicle gate out at Newell Open Space in this next coming month. We're just working on executing a contract with California Conservation Corps North Bay. So we have another Eagle Scout project coming in the queue. The dates haven't been determined. It's sort of later down the road, but we are in the early preliminary stages of meeting with Zachary Bernard, to complete some trail repair work out at Wetlands Edge. So we want to make sure that we're addressing those potholes out there. So he's going to be looking into fixing that and possibly actually expanding that project beyond that scope as well, so that it's a bit larger scale. The wetlands outdoor fitness area. So we have installed the concrete pad, equipment, and fence out there. If you haven't already seen it, people are really enjoying it as a community, and I love seeing how much involvement we're getting out there. So the fence has been installed just recently back in December, and irrigation and the volunteering landscaping effort will be taking place March 6th, as I mentioned earlier. So last but not least, I wanted to save the best for you guys. This is our wildlife camera traps out at Newell and Wetlands Edge. So this has been a really exciting project, probably one of my favorite things I've been working on these last few months. We have partnered up with the Philadelphia Conservation Fund for them to assist us with photo data analysis and organizing the species inventory that we have out there. So they are interested in finding out if we have any bobcats and mountain lions currently living at the Newell Open Space. So I've been going out there with a volunteer to retrieve the photo data after we've went ahead and installed these cameras on a monthly basis. So we have 2 cameras installed at Newell, technically for the wildlife camera traps for the cats, one on the Prairie Ridge Trail and one near the barn back in October. And we have 2 more cameras installed, one at the Wetlands Edge parking lot and then one at the Newell parking lot. And that's more just for safety purposes, just to have that. But aside from that, we've installed signs as well at both kiosks to announce, we have a camera on site for security and for wildlife observation purposes. So people see them out there, they know who it belongs to. There's tags on them as well to identify that they're property of City of American Canyon. So just a quick little list of the wildlife that we've been seeing out there. We've been seeing some deer, turkey, some skunks, bobcats, possums, coyote, and raccoon. I wanted to give you guys a brief presentation on the wildlife that we have been seeing out there. This is just a quick species inventory of the Newell Open Space Preserve, and just sort of that list that I was mentioning earlier. This data that you see here is from back in November 18th, 2020, all the way to January 19th, 2021. So just a couple months. And this is our just general camera location. We have camera 1, which is here by the barn, and number 2 here on the ridge. These other 3 locations are going to be our next in rotation after we've collected, sufficient amount of data out at Newell Open Space. So we have Colombian black-tailed deer out at Newell Open Space. You can see here, this is the male with antlers and female. So the one on the left, I've named John Deere, and the one on the right, I've named Jane Doe. And they've been visiting Newell Open Space quite a bit. We have a lot of photos of them, actually. So really excited to see that they haven't noticed these cameras, but they don't mind posing for them. So it's been great for us. We also have a wild turkey here. I was surprised to see it, by itself. So I named this one Lucky, that it wasn't eaten during Thanksgiving like his friends probably were. So this turkey's named Lucky. We also have a resident skunk in town, and this one is named Stinky. And I believe this is the same one, the same photo, just taken at different times. Same location. This is at the Prairie Ridge Trail, so it's up at the top of our landscape out at Newell Open Space, and they're definitely active at nighttime. As you can see, the camera was triggered at night. We don't really see them that frequently in the day, so that was an interesting observation. We also have a resident bobcat named Bob, and this one is actually, I don't know if you guys can see, but if you look really closely, you'll see his body right there. This one was taken right out by the barn. So this is actually really close to where all of this bobcat sighting has been. A lot of people have noted that they've seen this bobcat near the picnic site. So Bob didn't walk too far to have his picture taken. So we're really excited about this, and so is, I'm sure, Philadelphia Conservation Fund, because this is the type of data that they're looking for. Okay, so we also have a possum, same site, same camera. You can see it's super tiny just in the distance, that little possum named Ophelia. And we're hoping to see more of them out there because possums actually eat ticks. And so since we have a lot of hikers out there who have experienced a lot of ticks during the summer when they go for their hikes, this little Ophelia can help us accommodate reducing the tick population out there. We also have quite a bit of coyote, and this is out by the ridge. If you've ever hiked kind of up by the top side, you may have seen a pack of these guys. I didn't actually give these coyotes names because there were just so many in our photos that it seemed weird to give a bunch of coyotes one name. So I am taking recommendations if you have suggestions for names to collectively call these guys. But yeah, so they're both active in the day and at nighttime, so that's interesting. You know, I'm not an expert on coyote behavior, but it was very cool to see them both day and night photos. And we have our most popular species right here, raccoon. So this raccoon is not shy from the camera and is actually posing quite well. So I named her Lady Gaga after her hit single Paparazzi because she is not camera shy and is trying to give us all of her angles. So we have lots of photos of her really up close to the camera. She knows it's there, so hopefully we can get more photos of her. But that concludes all of my photos from Newell Open Space. So if you guys have any questions about these cameras or any of the projects that we've been working on the open spaces and trails, I'd be happy to answer them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Shalon. That was great. So let's open it up for Commissioner questions and comments. Honorary Commissioner Moon?
First up, I want to say I really enjoyed that presentation of all the animals. I didn't know that we had that many, so that's very cute to all the names. I also like how you provided the little volunteer opportunities. I'll definitely be volunteering because I need hours, and I have interest in our community and keeping it beautiful, and I just appreciate all the work that's being done to our city to keep it beautiful and keep renovating. So yeah, I loved it.
Sure. Glad to hear that.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Griggs?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Shaylon, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. Just amazing. That was so much, and you waited all this time to present too. I mean, thank you so much for your patience and your amazing presentation. That was awesome. I love to see everything that's happening up at Newell. I used to run that loop a lot before there were any gates and when there were lots of cows, and I love it up there. It's absolutely gorgeous. There is a lot of wildlife. I made the mistake of taking my husband with me one day, and that was the end of my solo runs up there. So lesson learned there. He likes to bike out there, mountain bike up there, and he has actually seen a mountain lion crossing the path about 30 yards in front of him. And I suspect that once you install camera 5, you will get your mountain lion sightings. So that would be very exciting, and hopefully most of those are at night and not in the day. For those that like to go on foot like myself.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Cervente?
Great presentation. I really enjoyed watching the pictures of the animals. Also, I'm really excited about Prop 68 grant. I know those three parks are in need of a lift, so excited to see that. And I'm so glad that, getting some grant money for the city. Yeah, keep us on the loop about the RCD tree planting, and maybe we can get some middle schoolers in there to start volunteering as well. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Vice Chair Einberger.
Yeah, Shalon, great presentation. That was fun. I loved all the pictures of the animals. And if you have another camera, you could set it up in my backyard and get a picture of a skunk. So that's all.
Great. Thank you. Yes, excellent presentation. Couple questions. I see on the Prop 68 grant funding, and they're replacing the 3 playgrounds. The feasibility study is February 2024. Is there a...
No, so that was actually a mistake. That's another grant that...
Oh, okay.
In there, so I apologize. I should have been more clear on that. That doesn't belong there.
Great, okay.
Yeah.
Good. Well, because I thought, does that mean that well, what I'm getting at is, when is there an approximate date for when the playgrounds would be installed?
Not to my knowledge. Creighton, would you have any way of answering that if we do have a timeline?
Yes. So our playground project will be our next project in our queue, which will be next year sometime. I would guess mid to late summer we would start the construction. It really shouldn't take very long. We should probably be able to finish it up by fall or winter next year.
Okay, wonderful. And are there, maybe it's, I don't know if it's too early in the process, but are there plans to incorporate play structures for, let's say, our handicapped residents?
We have talked about so there's a few different standards in accessibility in playgrounds. So all playgrounds are required to be have a baseline accessibility. So all of the playgrounds will certainly be accessible in that way. There's a step above that and then a step above that. The step above is a inclusive playground that has greater, better access for those with physical challenges to be able to access every part of the playground. And so that's something we're looking at one of the sites, having the inclusive playground is what it's called. So that would be that second standard. And then a standard above that would be inclusive, but also have it be, I don't know the quite word, but it's ideally suited for those with autism or similar related challenges. But there's a different way of designing and structuring the playground. We haven't looked too seriously about the autism certified playground, but certainly the inclusive playground is something we're looking at one of the sites.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I hope that's something that we strive for. That particular issue has been more in my mind because I know some of our residents with autism and other disabilities. So yes, thank you. The trail camera pictures, those are awesome. I love that you're personalizing them by giving them names, and similar to Commissioner Moon, I didn't know there was so much live, so much So many animals out there. I know that the Felidae Conservation Club is great with the mountain lion data. I saw one of their I saw a representative's talk about it, I think a couple of years ago. So are the photos also available through the city website if residents wanted to view them? Or yeah.
At this point, we don't have them available for public, but it could be something that Creighton and I could certainly consider to share so that people can learn more about the wildlife in their community. And we can make it more of like an educational angle for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how our residents would have a lot of fun both viewing the pictures and trying to spot the animal life out there in real life. So that's it. Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Okay, so thanks everybody for hanging in there. I know it's 9:30, and we are almost at the end of it. So next business item D6, receive a report from the director on department occurrences.
And Chair, I'll whiz through this to try and get us out as quickly as I can. I have just a couple of quick updates for you. First one is a general heads up, actually first two general heads up. Our department really tracks and follows along with two main professional conferences each year. One is the California Trails and Greenways Conference. It is coming up in April. I provided a link in the report, so when you have an opportunity, if you're interested, you can hop onto that. They're going to be virtual this year. They offered last year webinars kind of spread throughout the year. This year they're going to do it concentrated into a couple of days in the middle part of April. So if you're interested in trails-related items, I would suggest you hop onto that. The second one is our California Parks and Recreation Society. They're also doing a virtual conference this year. It is March 22nd through the 26th. I should have provided the same information on this one as I did for the previous one. I missed it, I'm sorry. I'll send you out a link and the dates again a little later tomorrow. One exciting note, Chair Mamrell put in a session interest form and has been selected, he and our staff, to talk about, remind me the title, something about the music being gone or something?
Sure, Director Wright. So the title of the session we're presenting at CPRS is Keeping Live Music Alive, How American Canyon Parks and Rec partnered with local musicians to create music offerings during the pandemic and beyond.
So we are selected to share a bit of our success at our state conference, and so the chair and our staff are working on a presentation that'll be shared at the conference here in about a month or so. Next one, opportunities for you guys to get involved. As you heard from Alana earlier today, we have the drive-through tomorrow that we'd love to have some support from you if you have the opportunity, and I'll be working on and thinking through some of the opportunities in March and see where we might be able to have you come out and help and support us with those as well. We do have our bench sponsorship program is finished and is operational. It is on the AC Parks website. That is a tribute to Sharon, who's seen that through and working with Janelle from the foundation. We actually have 2 bench sponsorships already working through the system, so that's fantastic. If you're interested in sponsoring a bench or a picnic table in one of our parks, you can hop on the AC Parks website and the program is there. We also have a link from our own website. I think you guys are all pretty familiar with the Heart Your Parks initiative by ACCPF. It's been great. Be sure to check out those opportunities at various sites in the city. Shenandoah and Community Park 2 is where the majority of the hearts are in 2 different 10 clusters. And then there's also some at the police station, Kimberly Park, New Open Space, the wetlands, Via Bellagio Park. They also have some of the selfie cutouts that you can go and check out. They're really amazing, done by local residents and kind of painted up in a really, really pretty way. Number 6, the planning department is working on a development project for up here on top of Oat Hill. There's an EIR out right now that you can, if you're interested, take a look at, review it, and provide comments. The public comment period is open right now for that EIR. So Oat Hill is the project where our water tanks are, just kind of behind City Hall. And they're proposing to put townhouses and condos up there. So if you are interested in that project or that area, take a look at the EIR and provide some comments. The comment period is open. Park Ranch update, just a quick update for you. We heard a presentation from 3 user groups interested in Clark Ranch last time. I had the same presentation to the Open Space Advisory Committee. I just wanted to share that with you. So I've gotten feedback from both groups at this point on how to proceed, and they had similar comments, although some a little bit more in-depth and detailed that I'm kind of working through a little bit. Let's see, next one I have, thank you all for providing me some time to meet with you and to just do a bit of a debrief on the last year, or for the 2 of you that are new to the commission, some ideas and kind of get to know you opportunities. I have summarized the comment and feedback I have from each of you, and there's 3 main points that I heard from virtually everybody, and I just wanted to share that with you. There were other points as well, just not quite as consistent across the groups. So the first one was a significant interest by all of you to continue pushing for parks funding, renovation projects, and completing our various unfinished parks. 2 of them, Kimberly has a phase and Veterans Park has a phase that needs to be completed, as well as working on our longer term vision projects in Clark Ranch. The second one is an interest and willingness to be more engaged and involved in our Parks and Rec programs and services. So I will on a monthly basis provide you opportunities where we could really use some support from you on future months' agendas. And lastly, you all brought up this, especially focused and targeted around the pandemic, the community's kind of overall mental health. And we followed that up with a conversation with Chair Memorial, and we talked through some ideas and some options. And we're certainly, a lot of what we do helps to support mental health. We're just not quite at the forefront of addressing the true clinical side of mental health. So we're trying to work through reaching out to some mental health organizations to see what thoughts and ideas they have as far as the role we serve in supporting mental health. And once we have that a little bit more concrete, we'll end up bringing something back for your guys' review and discussion. And lastly, we are doing State of the City. It is February at the time of year that we normally do that. So I would encourage you to save the date for February 23rd in the evening. An actual save the date went out yesterday, and I didn't catch the time. I want to say it's probably 6:30, but I'm not really sure. So hop on our website, look at our Facebook. If you're interested, it'll be a virtual presentation provided by our mayor, city manager, Supervisor Ramos, County Supervisor Ramos, and our fire chief and the health officer for the county, Dr. Karen Lucio, will be doing a bit of an overview and presentation on the state of the city and kind of broadly the state of the county, and then provide some opportunities for a Q&A at the end. So that's my update for your commission.
Great, thank you. Go ahead and open it up for Commissioner questions and comments. Honorary Commissioner Moon.
Thank you, Chair. No questions or comments.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Griggs.
Thank you, Chair. Just thank you very much, Director, for all your work and all the updates. I appreciate it.
Great. Wonderful. Commissioner Cervente.
Yeah, thank you, Director. Great report. I just for FYI, maybe if we can get a little bit more of advance notice on engagement opportunities, that would be awesome. Because I would love to do, help you out tomorrow, but I already have 3 things I have to do during that time, and so for the March activities, maybe a little bit of time before, so we can be able to help you out. The other thing about the bench sponsorships, I actually took a quick look at where one can sponsor, the places where one can sponsor the bench or picnic tables, and I just happened to notice that there's absolutely nothing available to sponsor at Veterans Park. Wanted to know, is there a reason why, or why Veterans Park is not included on that? And just, again, thanks for all the hard work you're doing.
So Veterans Park is an area where we have new and good condition benches and picnic tables there. So we're not at this point planning on replacing any of those. The places that we have opportunities for sponsorship right now are places where we are about to or in the process of replacing them with new. So when we get to the point of replacing those veterans, we will provide those as an opportunity for sponsorship. There are several park sites that aren't necessarily represented in there because we've not replaced them all yet. So it's not just veterans, there's other places too that there's not sponsorship opportunities because we're not replacing those benches at this point.
There is a way to sponsor one, and it's an existing location placement of plaque only, and that's that's the lowest one. So is there a possibility that just do a plaque in any of the parks that are not on your list?
Shimano will have to look at that. We're only doing the new style benches because they can accept the plaque and they'll stand up better than some of our older ones. Like an example, at Veterans Park, we have several of the places have wooden benches and they're just not a good place to put a plaque on those. So we'll have to look at it. I think that's a good question.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to get a follow-up on that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Cervente. Vice Chair Einberger?
Yes, thank you for catching us up. That was good. And I just want to reiterate, my willingness to volunteer to help out in whichever way I can.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you very much. No comments or questions. Just looking forward to different events. Especially doing our talk for the parks professionals in March. Okay, so last last business item. There's an opportunity for the commissioners to bring up any items for future consideration. So, Commissioner Moon.
Thank you, Chair. I actually briefly discussed this with Chair earlier in an email. We were discussing my honorary commissioner project. I know that each year they get honorary commissioners. They get the opportunity to have a project. I didn't really prepare much, but it's just a general idea. I can come up with more, but one of the general ideas I had was to create a blue light safety system for our trails. And I know these are really pricey comparing, I've seen other campuses and other cities have them and they are pricey, but I don't know if it's possible, but we could partner up with the police and it could be more of a police thing so that it could be more of trying to keep our city more safe. I know that a lot of my friends or family members, they would feel safer hiking alone on trails if there was like some sort of safety system. That's just my suggestion. It would also be a really good reassurance for other residents from other cities coming to our city to hike. So that's just my suggestion.
Great. And yes, thank you, Honorary Commissioner. And definitely appreciate your ideas and willingness to start this planning and start this conversation. So definitely looking forward to that. Commissioner Griggs, any items for future consideration?
Thank you, Chair Memorial. I think I mentioned it earlier, but I would like to keep on the potential class list a virtual paint night for all ages. Maybe it's multiple classes for different age groups. I know you can't have the Zoom classes get too large or things don't translate well and you run into connectivity issues. But I think that is something that our community would really enjoy and we would get positive feedback for. And so I would like to just keep that as, on the potential class list. The other thing that I was thinking of is we're doing the cooking around the world for kids. I would also like to see a multi-age crochet or a knitting class. I think that's something that could be done virtual, which is minimal supplies, and I think we have probably a lot of people in our community that could teach that class. So that's just another class offering that I think our community would respond well to. And the last thing is, it does seem like a good opportunity to bring up things for Newell open space, because there seems to be a lot of work being done in that area right now, which I love. So I would like to keep trail safety and development on the list there. Just smoothing it out, keeping the prickly weeds down, just making it more accessible for people on foot and on bike. My husband has had to have many mountain bike tires replaced and repaired from the thorns out there that actually just popped the tire. He had to have a whole new separate special tube inserted that is not penetratable by these, crazy thorns to ride out there, because he loves to ride out there, but he was tired of getting flats. So I'd like to keep that on our radar as well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Griggs. Commissioner Cervente?
Yeah, thank you. I would like to, I so agree with Commissioner Griggs about the crochet class, but I actually would like to see something a little more basic, but that a lot of kids are not able to do, is how to sew a button, or how to just sew, small things. We don't have home classes or curriculum in the schools anymore. So, little classes that just teach, things that you do around your house, or also, I would like to see if staff can work on getting some mental health resources, or I don't want to call them classes, but some sort of mental health curriculum or activities for our teens. So if we can work on that, I know we say a lot and it's still needed, and we have a lot of teens that are isolated, and not just even teens, elementary school children, and so it will be good to see some sort of outreach for that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Commissioner Svente. Vice Chair Einberger?
Well, I would like to see some cooking classes for adults. I think the ones that are offered for the kids will sound really exciting, but I think it would be nice to offer some for adults too. That's all I have.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Items for future consideration from me. Completely agree with Commissioner Cervente. Although, life skills classes for our youth, kind of more than just sewing buttons and just other things that perhaps would be helpful for our youth to learn along the way. I can completely get behind. Let's see, and that's it for me, except for just saying what a wonderfully active group of commissioners we have. I'm so happy to call you all colleagues. So can we have a motion? Okay, so it's 9:54. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
And can we have a second?
I second it.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Just
aye.
Say
aye.
Aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, no opposition. The motion carries. It's 9:54, and we are adjourning our Parks and Community Services meeting. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see some of you tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see y'all.